It's a part of who I am.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemekonye Koberere. Very simple. We can easily stabilize the devaluation of the naira, massive galloping devaluation of the naira. We can stem the tide. We can ensure price stability by doing these very few things. There is no skyrocket sense about it. 60-70% of the demand pressure on the dollar is criminally driven, is speculative driven. It has nothing to do with legitimate, honest transaction, buying and selling. History supports this. Between May 2015 to May 2023, our total inflow was about total net inflow, and even the borrowing that we had, and even the reserve we had when Buhari came to power was about $635 billion. Total outflow, legitimate transaction, was 451. We had net inflow of $184 billion. If things were to follow the normal law of demand and supply, naira and dollar should have been at the same level of 199 or even lower than it was in 2015. But basically what happened was that the criminal demand was what has brought us where we are. And we can stem the tide. What do? Amend the laws, pass a law, amend the laws. No more cash transaction with dollar in Nigeria. Any dollar cash transaction attracts 2 years imprisonment without option of fine. Does it mean we will not transact in dollar? No, it simply means as you're coming into Nigeria with your dollar cash, exchange it at the entry point with the dollar exchange banks and companies at whatever rate that suits you, and use the naira. If you have any dollar cash, go and put it into the bank, into your DOM account. If you want to transfer money to anybody within Nigeria, use dollar, transfer the person's DOM account. Be clean. If you want to do any transfer outside Nigeria, legitimate, use from M, use from A. From A for education, for medical, from M for economic transactions. That way, those who have criminally taken our dollar, the governors, the ministers, the commissioners, the public, will be very, very, because they can't do it. And when you ban dollar cash transaction within the economy, they cannot withdraw the dollar and go and hide it under their basement. Ban the banks. Banks should no longer give dollar cash to anybody. They can only accept dollar deposit. Short temporary measure. Make it impossible for the criminal demand for the dollar to continue. Shut down the cash transaction demand on the dollar. Then on the quick, within the next 90 days, quick run, NNPC is valued at $62 billion. Today, Nigeria has debt profile of 87 trillion naira. External debt alone is $43 billion, which is the debt servicing cost is almost taking half of our revenue. So it does not make sense borrowing more without a cushion of how we repay it. What do? Short term, appoint a JP Morgan Chase, appoint a Goldman Sachs to help us divest federal government holding in NNPC. 55% sales of shares in NNPC, even do new offering of about extra $10 billion, will give us extra cash of $43 billion that is not tied to repayment, that we can use to shop the supply side on the short run. While we are doing the process, we can take a bridging facility of about $20 billion. But the bridging facility will only serve the purpose of stabilizing the FX instability that we're having today when we curb the corruption and speculative demand by doing what is necessary. On the physical side, extension, amend the CCB Act. Anybody who does not want the heat should not go to the kitchen. When companies are quoted publicly on the floor of exchange, the shareholders and the owners are requested to always publish their audited account every 3 months. Any public office holder must compulsorily declare their assets and liabilities before they assume office in a public e-portal that is accessible to the public. Every year, they should show us what they own and what they owe. If you don't want those kind of transparency, stay away from public office. And the CCB Act must be amended, Whistleblowing Act. Anybody who blows the whistle to recover an asset, funds that are stolen, should have 20% of what is recovered. By doing this, every Nigerian become an agent of EFCC, and then have CCB offices across the 774 local government areas of Nigeria for implementation. Other things again, make sure anybody who wants to register any asset, houses, cars, must include their TIN, tax identification number, their BVN, their name, in such a way that you can easily track those who launder money using fronts. Because somebody whose account turnover in a year is not up to 10 million cannot be having access worth 1 billion unless it's a front. And it can easily, and then the laws should be amended when it involves financial matters that has to do with proven the legitimacy of your source of revenue. The onus and the burden, you are guilty until you convince everybody beyond reasonable doubt in that particular area that your source of revenue, your source of expenses are legitimate. These are short-term measures. In the long run, ramp up the crude oil production. And how do you ramp it up? We have a lot of marginal fuel that have been capped by the oil majors because the production level was 1,000, 5,000 barrels. NMPDC, NNPC have most of these oil wells, marginal fuels. This no longer are we going to be giving marginal fuels because somebody knows somebody in Aso Rock with that capacity. Most of the downstream oil operators today who have tank farms should be encouraged to go into upstream because they already have facilities for storage. What do? Those that have capacity get a class A bank in Europe to give them bank guarantee. As you're giving them the marginal field that they are extracting it, they should set up modular refineries to enable them process whatever they can process here. When we can process everything we can process here, we will not have any need to import any white petroleum product, either base oil, diesel, PMS, and there will be less pressure on the dollar. And we will refine enough white petroleum products here, and then we will dredge the waterways from the escravos all the way to Onitsha to Jeba, so that people can actually set up modular refineries by the water banks and use barges to take crude oil from their marginal fuels. When you make it this way, for you to own a marginal field going forward, you must start a modular refinery or whatever size refinery to process it. So whatever is already being produced now by the NPDC should be for export. Any other private person that is coming, private company that is coming to take marginal field must build a refinery to refine it. These are short-term measures. Ramp up output, then provide security, the evolve and the diverse security architecture of Nigeria, so that communities and local government area to be able to protect themselves, arm themselves to the level that they can be able to, ensure that nothing goes and nothing comes into their community without them knowing. The current security architecture of Nigeria is not working. It has failed woefully. We spent $27 billion under Buhari with insecurity now extending to the whole regions of Nigeria. It shows clearly that only the indigenous people can protect themselves. Let us devolve the security apparatus and architecture of Nigeria back to what we have in 1963. And then we must devolve the constitutional and physical framework of Nigeria back to what we have to use in 1963 in such a way we will have lean government, the cameral system of government, by-time legislators, and tie the pegs of office of public office holders to that of the civil service in such a way that nobody goes to office, public office, because of what he wants to eat or steal, but to serve. So that we can have men like Sir Louis Odumegojuku in the private sector going in to become parliamentarians, going in to become governors and ministers to add value to Nigeria. Thank you and God bless.